So how does all of this work? I think, if I might, let me take you through a typical day of one of our customers. So one of our customers and their patients. So for example, we have clinics in California that are using this to manage Medi-Cal patients with their diabetes. So what happens is that when the patient comes in for a normal, regularly scheduled visit, the doctor will identify them as someone who's eligible for this program. And what that really means is that they have an A1C level greater than 7.5. As a matter of fact, our patients in California have A1C levels over 9.5. So you can see that many of them are not well managed. So the doctor will say, hey, listen, I have this new thing that I'm doing in my practice. It will helps you manage your diabetes better. It helps me kind of keep track of you. Are you interested? And the interesting thing is that even in the kind of very difficult to manage populations, we get about 80% of those folks saying yes and enrolling in the program. Now, the number that are active is not 80%, but the idea is that when it comes from the doctor, 80% of them will raise their hands and say yes. So the patient enrolls in the program, and usually the MA or someone on the team puts some very basic data, such as their cell phone, how they want to be communicated with, what windows are good for them. And once they're enrolled in the system, they'll get a welcoming message, and then every day they'll get a combination of reminders. If they don't send us a blood sugar, the system will reach out automatically, ask them for a blood sugar. We'll evaluate that blood sugar against their care plan, see how they're doing, good, bad, indifferent. If it's very bad, we'll connect them to someone at the practice. So there's a lot of flexibility in the system. Those rules, that content is all defined by our customers. So we don't necessarily bring everything to our doctors or our providers. We let them configure it for their specific best practices. So the patient will interact with the system. If they don't, for example, the absence of data is data. If they don't respond for 2-3 days in a row, we will let someone in the doctor's office know that the patient's not responding. If they haven't taken their medications, we'll let them know. We provide information back to the patient, so we'll give them feedback through their mobile phones, but we'll also provide the providers with reports on how the patients are doing, and also identify the exceptions, meaning that those patients that need care. The providers also have access to a portal. They can very easily go in there, and it immediately identifies the patients that are quote-unquote exceptions. That those are the patients they need to really interact with immediately or need some attention. So the idea is to focus on the exceptions, let the normal patients kind of go about their business. So it makes it very easy for the providers to use it. What we found is that initially we focused on the patients, but the doctors were starting to look at this data, and in the case of diabetes, they were actually starting to use it to communicate with the patients to help them adjust and titrate their insulin on a more frequent basis. So rather than waiting for them to come in after 4 weeks or such, they actually can send a message immediately and say you need to increase your insulin by X or Y, etc. So this really becomes a very helpful tool to the providers in managing these conditions. So